Hello everyone, Miranda here. As you may have known, I was not able to make it to Lock and Load this year, but I got pretty much the next best thing, a surprise at my door where I received the Core Army box for Grymkin. Oh my goodness. I didn't expect this, but Privateer sent it to me as well as the Grymkin Army box. And so I want to talk to you guys about it because I have a lot of thoughts on it and I'm very excited to share. So, a little background for any of you not familiar, Grymkin is the new Hordes faction coming to us from Privateer Press for the Horde side of the War Machine Hordes IP. They are creatures that have kind of come from the underworld, largely in part due to the Old Witch of Kador, who is inextricably linked to these characters. They sort of embody different sorts of sins that associated with them when they died, and so they represent different things in their, I guess, living demonic form, right? So to jump into the army box here, this core army box includes a 50-point theme list featuring the heretic, that guy in the center over there. He has 3 war beasts and a few units in here. We're going to go over each one. It's a really impressive box of everything that comes inside. So let's get started. All right, let's talk a little bit about what is in the box. The box itself contains 32 miniatures for your army, which for a 50-point army is pretty good. They're all resin. Everything in here is a resin cast. There is no metal at all. And they kind of kept everything really tidy inside each of these bags. So you can, each unit separated in the bags and all that good stuff. It actually gives you a few more points than what would normally fit in a 50-point list, but because you get the Bump in the Night theme force as the box set, you get 2 free miniatures in here, so you actually are playing a little bit above points as well. So the weekend was actually spent putting all of these miniatures together in order to be able to play on Sunday with them, which was a really cool experience. So let's just talk about each miniature a little bit here. So the box includes 3 different war beasts. One of the first ones you have is the Skin and Moans. He is a Grymkin heavy war beast, defensive stat of 13, armor 16, which at first doesn't seem very impressive, but he actually has an ability where as he destroys living or undead models, he can gain a corpse token up to 3, and for each one he actually gets an increase to his strength and armor. The other heavy the game comes with is the Grymkin Heavy War Beast, the Cage Rager. Range 1, people says 17, but they're magical weapon, right? So his animus also gives like blessed and magical ability, and you can put that on somebody else. He can become a channeler or an arc node if he has a corpse token on him. He also has Arcane Vortex, which is pretty cool, so he can negate a spell if it's cast on him or within 3 inches of him. He himself, very hard-hitting character, but he's only speed 4, def 10, armor 19, so he's the beat stick, but he can be hard to get up there. Of course, I'm pretty used to speed 4 models, so there's some really cool ways around that I'll talk about in a minute. The next war beast that it comes with is a light war beast called a Gorehound. Speed 7, defense 14, armor 13, medium base guy. He has a range 2 bite because he's got this creepy, weird, long tongue that can pull you toward him. The model itself has prowl, ghostly, and an extended control range, so you can run him all over the board. It's kind of crazy. The animus that it has is lightning strike, so you can sprint on that. All right, next we'll jump into units. The Grymkin have a medium-based multi-wound infantry called Piggybacks. They're 5-wound pigs that run around on these imp guys. It's all very strange looking. They have reach 2 pole arms, P plus S 13, and they are tough. Not only are they tough, but they actually have impervious flesh, so they actually suffer 1 less die on the damage roll, so they're absolutely awesome to run up as your first line of infantry. Next up, we have the Dreadrots. All right, so they've got a cool ability called Bagman. They deny tough with that, and if they kill a living or undead model, they can collect a corpse token. So they themselves can individually have a corpse token. Now, they personally don't do anything with it, but If they are within 5 inches of another model that can have corpse tokens, you can just transfer it over at any time during the Dreadrot's activation. So you can kind of use them as a front line to attack things and hold on to corpse tokens to feed them to your war beasts. Finally, we have the Hollowmen. Not only do they have combined ranged attack for their Rat 5 guns, but they also have eyeless sight. Now they also have apparition, so they can apparate 2 inches away, so for the most part you can get out of melee with them, which is actually really powerful. The Lantern Man's really cool because he gives a granted ability called Bloodbound. So if the Lantern Men or Hollowmen destroy a living enemy, they can return a destroyed Hollowman back into play. So they have some recursion going on too. Alright, next up we've got the solos. We've got the Witchwood Grymkin solo. Now this is an FA2 model, armor 18, defense 5. It's just automatically getting hit, but it is a tree after all. And 10 boxes, 10 wounds on that thing. It can do dual attack, so there's a little siren, as you can see, as part of the model. So she lures you in and then the tree sort of raffle stomps you. And then my favorite solo so far, Lord Longfellow. So he's got some interesting lore if you've read the No Quarter on him. But basically he's like this really old spider that's learned to use guns. Now, the cool stuff he's got is Finisher, where he gains an additional die on damage rolls against damaged models, plus Fortune Hunter, so he gains an additional die on ranged attack and damage rolls against character models. Also Black Penny, because he does not care about melee at all. He's Def 16, Armor 12, Gunfighter, Pathfinder, so he's incredibly powerful. He's got 2 pistols at range 10, POW 10, magical weapon. Alright, finally we've got the the Warlock for this, the Heretic. He's Grymkin Warlock, speed 6, def 15, armor 15. So he's got a really cool ability called Godlike Power. So during the Heretic's activation, if the enemy Warlock or Warcaster cast any spell while in his control range, the Heretic's control range, the Heretic can actually cast that spell as if it were one of his own spells. Now he can't upkeep it, but that he can cast it is actually kind of super awesome. Now the Grymkin Warlocks don't necessarily have feats. They actually have like 3 mini feats, but they always come with the same one for each of their unique models. And the trump card that the Heretic has is called the Reckoning. So it is a triggering ability. You have to play it after an enemy has destroyed one of your friendly faction models. Your friendly faction models gain +2 to attack and damage rolls against the attacking enemy model/unit. So very much like Prey for a round. So I guess I should tell you a little bit about how my game went on Sunday. Now, I have never played Hordes ever. So it was a 50-point, my 50-point bump in the night list versus 50-point Gorshade 1 Crix list. And he had, his wall of infantry, Bane Thralls, and he had the horses, the cavalry, and he had a Slayer and an Inflictor and some flying scavenger, I think. And so he was a normal, decent list, right? So when you play these games, you pick 3 Arcana cards, and one of them has to be your trump card, and this is all picked before deployment even happens. But for the ones I picked, of the generic ones, I picked Sacrifice and Accursed. So I was very impressed with how the Hollowmen performed. I deployed totally messy. The pigs were behind the lines. It was just a big old mess. My Dreadrots were up front, not hitting much. I couldn't roll 6s because I'm just fighting Banes. You think I could hit defense 12, but no, that was clearly beyond me. But CRA sure made a difference, and with Eyeless Sight, I was totally able to snipe out old Tartarus. Skin and Moans was able to bring an amazing retaliation on an Inflictor that tried to charge him. It actually managed to miss because Def 13 on a big war beast is surprising. And that was only after Skin and Moans had come up and killed a couple of cavalry, so he had 2 corpse tokens on him, so he was actually hitting a little bit harder at People's S 18. I was able to use Gallows to pull the Slayer in on the Cage Rager. I was able to get him closer. I had to shoot directly with the Heretic because I wasn't able to get any corpse tokens on my Cage Rager. You kind of need to get him early game somehow or another, get a corpse token on him, because once he has it, he's so much more useful, but I didn't get that far with him. But the Slayer ended up getting pulled in and just completely destroyed. I wiped out Gorshade's two jacks before he could actually do anything with them, and then the Scavenger 2 didn't last much longer than that. I think he charged the Cage Rager and it just didn't do anything. One of my favorite highlights was when Lord Longfellow rolled up. That boy is crazy. So he, my opponent had moved Gorshade up where I could see him if I moved Longfellow up. And he didn't happen to have any focus on him because he was behind a forest. He felt pretty good about it, but he was off to the side of it. So it was blocked from most of my army, but not from Lord Longfellow. So I rolled him out just to try him out. And, you know, he's Rat 7, and Gorshade got hit both times. Now he's armor 16 with 17 hit boxes. In 2 shots from Longfellow, I was able to reduce him to 4 hit boxes. It almost ended the game because Lord Longfellow at first rolls 3 dice against him if he hasn't been damaged at all because of Fortune Hunter, because he's a character. And then once he's hurt, and it's only, you know, a power 10 weapon, but, you know, you throw enough dice at it, it doesn't really matter. And then with Finisher, once Gorshade was hurt, I was rolling 4 dice for damage, 3 dice to hit, 4 dice for damage. Yeah, it's really scary. So, of course, he retaliated with the Bane Thrall unit. They all came in charging to completely destroy my Cage Rager. But it turns out that, you know, he charged in. He went after Lord Longfellow. He went after my Cage Rager with the charge from the Banes. And so they're able to do a lot of damage. They do some heavy damage to my Cage Rager, but he's still alive. And then they kill Lord Longfellow. Well, that was able to trigger the Arcana card for sacrifice. And that move is insane. Any Grymkin faction model in the game at that point that has damage boxes and has taken damage, it just goes away. Just wipe it off. At that point, the game is over. So yeah, never played Hordes before, but then I won. Clearly, this is a powerful faction. I want to talk a bit about the book that Privateer also sent. It is the Grymkin Wicked Harvest Forces book, which is actually really cool. I love the way it's laid out. You have these sort of storybook aspects to it. It's told like folk tales, I guess, with the different models. The story is really well laid out. When it comes to rules, they're very clearly pointed out. You've got some really cool artwork and ideas on how to paint your different models and the different schemes. The Old Witch's story is in here. Having learned a bit more about the Grymkin in as laid out in the Forces book, they're not what I thought they would be, and it actually made me really happy. So my first impression of the Grymkin faction was not very positive, just because I'm tired of evil factions. I want good guys. But the way their story is explained in here has convinced me that they're actually a pretty cool faction. So for those of you who might be literary buffs, if you've ever read the book House of Leaves, there's these really cool passages in there where you kind of have to interact with the book, right? Like, stuff will be written out funny, or it'll be written into a spiral or something like that, where you have to I don't know, it just makes the book a little bit more interesting. And the Forces book here is written out a lot like that. There's even a cool page in here where you have to read the passage in the mirror because it's written backwards. If you have any interest at all in it, it's definitely worth perusing the faction book because their lore is genuinely pretty interesting, and it was enough to convince me that the Grymkin are actually way more involved and in-depth, and the Old Witch is amazing than I had originally anticipated. Okay, so that's pretty much my first impressions for this box set. Everything's been assembled and primed and is working on getting painted now, so I'm hoping to get some more games with this box set going really soon because, again, it's a really powerful faction. I think it's actually more interesting to play than, again, I anticipated. The Arcana cards are interesting, although wildly powerful. So I'd be curious to see how CID proceeds on that. Thank you so much to Privateer Press for sending me over the box set, as well as the Forces book. I'm also reading, and I've learned a little bit about the Grymkin even before this. I'm reading the Strange Light Workshop book, which has, it's an anthology of different stories where you're kind of interacting with the Grymkin. So already I know a little bit more about the faction too. So it's pretty, keep using the word interesting because I don't want to give anything away, but I'm totally on board. I'm just on board. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think of this faction in my video. Give it a little thumbs up if you like it. And are you planning to buy Grymkin? Let me know. We'll see you next time. Bye!